Okay, let's finish off the Q&A with the rest of the questions. Optimal Life with Kazumi, hi Kazumi, asks, are you adding back butter after 30 days if you don't feel much of a difference? That's a great question, and yes, you bet I'm going to be adding back in butter. And so far, 2 weeks in, I honestly do not feel that big of a difference or any changes to how I feel by cutting out the butter. I have had phases where I've only eaten beef and butter, no eggs. So when I was eating beef and butter, how I felt compared to now, beef and no butter, not that dramatic of a difference. I think maybe the only thing that comes to mind is waking up and feeling a little bit more energetic, less of a like subdued, drowsy feeling when I wake up. Because usually when I wake up, it takes me a couple minutes to, get in the groove, get into real life, and be ready to go out and do my morning routine. But without the butter, I definitely feel like when I wake up, I'm very revived, well rested, and just instantly ready to start my day. That's a very small difference, I feel like, and it's totally something that I'm willing to sacrifice. Like heck, if it takes me a couple more minutes to get in the groove when I wake up in the morning, I'd rather just eat my butter and go through that. So we'll see. Maybe it's too soon to tell. I do want to mention that even regarding my skin, do I feel any differences or see any differences with my skin? Honestly, exactly the same. So I do plan on adding butter back in. Especially, especially because now that I'm in California, I do have access to Sprouts where I can get raw unsalted butter. Raw unpasteurized butter is by far, hands down, my favorite butter to eat. I'd actually prefer to eat raw unpasteurized butter over Kerrygold. You all know how much I love Kerrygold, but I am so excited to go back to butter, but raw and unpasteurized. That would also be interesting to see how I feel on raw versus pasteurized. Laura Primal, hi Laura, love you Laura. She asks, do you think that this is sustainable for long term? By the way, love you. I love you too. So do I think beef only is sustainable? Absolutely. And I know a lot of carnivores who thrive off of eating beef only, including Laura. By the way, you should follow Laura Primal, Laura_Primal on Instagram. She does eat beef only and she thrives off of it. She looks absolutely phenomenal. She has an 8-pack. And she is very knowledgeable on how to live life at your fullest. Biohacking tips, wellness tips, and of course, carnivore diet advice. So follow her on Instagram. But yes, I do think it's sustainable. Cavaliers of My Heart asks, no eggs? That's right, no eggs, no butter, nothing else but beef. And also excluding beef organs. So all I've been eating for the past week, second week now, steaks, beef steaks, ribeyes, bone-in ribeyes, and then I had a ribeye cap from Costco. I've been very blessed, but that's all I'm eating, beef steaks. The Grandstand asks, do you think you'll stick with eating beef only, or do you miss having more variety? So kind of the same question. So after these 30 days, I'm definitely going to do a whole evaluation, see how I feel overall. I still have like 2 weeks left, maybe 2.5 weeks. And if things change dramatically in the next 2 weeks and I feel just on top of the world, yes, I'm going to probably consider doing beef only a little bit longer, but I honestly, based on how I'm feeling right now, I honestly don't think I'm gonna continue with beef only, just because yes, I do miss my raw fatty salmon. I do miss my eggs, my egg pudding so much, and I freaking miss my butter like crazy. However, I'm not going insane because I have been eating amazing fatty steaks pretty much 90% of the time so far. So that's definitely helping me hold over and stay sane and stay really satiated and fueled up. And I think that's very important. If you are considering doing a beef only experiment, try your best to predominantly eat whole cuts of steak versus ground beef or frozen patties. Because I do want to mention, because When I had the meals of eating ground beef, I didn't feel as great as when I had ribeye steaks. So I think it either has to do with the fact that when I cook ground beef, it's really cooked through. It's not rare like my steaks. It is very well done and very cooked through. So I don't think I'm absorbing as many nutrients in my ground beef meals. And also because it is so cooked through, the digestion is not ideal. So I definitely feel heavier, drowsier, sleepier, and not as energetic as when I eat my ribeye steaks. Like when I eat my 2 ribeyes, I feel so good. It just hits the spot. I feel so satiated, like comfortably stuffed. Yet I don't feel like I need to lie down and digest and rest and take a break from eating. I feel like I can just get up and go take a walk with Simba, go play fetch, or get back to work with editing or resume my meetings, whatever it is. I don't feel like I need some time off just because how hard that meal hit me. Ground beef does do that to me sometimes. Ralph, Katie, hi Katie, asks, do you get hungry around the same time every day? That's a great question. I feel like I do unless I keep myself busy. So I think that's the key. If I have a full day of meetings with my March babes, I tend to not think about food and I tend to not feel hungry at all until I finish my last meeting. Now, if I was going through a day with practically no plans and I'm just chillaxing, I definitely feel like I get hungry at the 3 to 4 p.m. mark and I'll start eating. And that's great because I have the rest of the day to digest. But the days where I do meetings and I'm super busy and I'm out and about, I don't really feel hunger pangs, like true hunger signals, until 6 to 7 p.m. So it's a 3-hour delay. But I usually always feel hungry no matter what by 7 p.m. It's like my body's just like, it is time to eat. You are using the last reserves of your energy. Make something to eat now. I also have to say, I feel like on beef only, I am so in tune with my signals, my cues. When I'm feeling hungry, I know that it's actual true hunger and it's not hunger for pleasure, for entertainment. I'm not hungry just because I'm bored. And when I'm full, I know that feeling super clearly. Like it is just this 100% crystal clear signal that my body and brain gives me that says, it's time to stop, you're good. And I stop eating. So I feel like beef only does help me become more in tune with my body, with when to start eating and when to stop. With that being said though, I have basically stuck to 2 steaks per day and it's been constant. So I've never really had to tweak. Like today, I only feel like 1.5 pounds. The next day I feel like 2 pounds. I honestly have been consistently eating 2 pounds of beef every single OMAD. And I've been feeling great. I don't feel like, oh, I overate or I underate. It's just like the perfect amount. So I kind of know exactly how much I want to eat now per day. And it just happens to be 2 pounds of steak. I also do think that when I do eat 2 pounds of steak, let's say I ate 2.5 pounds of steak, I still wouldn't feel horrible because my body will know exactly what to do with that extra energy, that extra fuel. And by the next day, same time, I'll be ready to eat. Like I will somehow find a way to expend all that energy. Maybe I'll have more mental clarity to do some more hours of editing. Maybe I'll have more energy to take a longer walk. Either way, my body will find a way to expend that extra energy. So I'm never really worried anymore about overeating. The only time that I should be worried is if it's a Wagyu steak, because if I overeat on that, I'm gonna get sick. Definitely learned my lesson. Lady Caledonia asks, are you bored? Do you miss some variety? So I did answer that question. Honestly, if I can eat ribeye steaks and that's what I have been doing, I don't feel bored. But I do know after 30 days, I'm gonna want to treat myself and have some raw salmon and have some egg pudding. So I'm very much looking forward to breaking that and seeing how I feel after breaking my beef only fast. Can you call it a fast? Afia Fifit asks, are you eating less? I do mostly carnivore and frankly get palate fatigue from meat. Ooh, that's a good question. Am I eating less? Yeah, I do feel like I'm actually eating more. Am I? Honestly, I can't tell because I don't track calories. I don't measure my food. But I do know the days where I ate eggs plus beef, I would eat at least 1.5 pounds of ground beef and at least 10 eggs. So if you guys want to calculate the calories, 10 boiled eggs or a 10 egg pudding plus 1.5 pounds of 80-20 ground beef compared to now 2 pounds of steak. So you guys tell me down in the comments which meal is more food, but I honestly feel like 2 pounds of steak is just that perfect amount. It's not too much where I feel sick, but then again, you guys know I have a big appetite. I could potentially eat up to 3 pounds and still feel fine, but it's not too little where I'm like an hour later, like, oh, I'm still hungry, I'm getting irritated, I'm getting hangry. 2 pounds just hits that spot. So I don't know. I can't give you a 100% clear answer to that. But those are all the questions.